My name is Emily Carter. I am 47 years old, and for 15 years, I have been married to a good man. Mark is kind. He is patient. Every morning, he makes coffee for both of us before I even wake up. We live in a small house on Maple Street, in a town called Fairview. Our life is simple and quiet. We have 2 grown children, Lily and Ben, who visit us on weekends. From the outside, our marriage looks perfect. Neighbors often say, "You two are so lucky." I always smile and agree. But there is one thing Mark does not know. One thing I have never told him, not once, in 15 years of marriage. Before I met Mark, when I was only 19 years old, I had a baby. I was young. I was scared. I was not ready to be a mother. My family convinced me it was the right choice. I gave my son up for adoption. I never held him. I never even learned his name. For years, I told myself it was in the past. I built a new life. I met Mark. I fell in love. I never spoke about that year again. Some nights, though, I still think about him. I wonder if he is happy. I wonder if he looks like me. I never imagined he would try to find me. I never imagined that one quiet Tuesday morning, everything would change. About 300 kilometers away, in a city called Dayton, a young man named Ryan Mitchell was making breakfast in his small apartment. Ryan was 28 years old. He worked as a mechanic at a busy auto shop downtown. Ryan had a good life. He had close friends, a job he liked, and a small dog named Rusty who followed him everywhere. But there was one question that had followed Ryan his whole life too. Ryan was adopted as a baby. His adoptive parents, David and Carol, loved him deeply. They never hid the truth from him. They always told him, "We chose you." Still, as Ryan grew older, one question grew stronger inside him. Who was his birth mother? Why did she give him up? Did she ever think about him? For years, Ryan told himself it didn't matter. He had a family. He had a good life. He didn't need to know more. Then, one evening, his friend Marcus mentioned a DNA testing kit. "Just for fun," Marcus said. "You send in your saliva, and it tells you about your family history." Ryan laughed it off at first. But that night, alone in his apartment, he thought about it differently. Maybe, he told himself. Just to see. A few weeks later, a small box arrived at his door. Ryan opened it slowly. Inside was a simple test tube and a set of instructions. He almost put it in a drawer and forgot about it. Instead, he took a deep breath and did the test. He sealed the tube and mailed it the next morning. The subject line made his heart stop. New DNA match, close family relative found. Ryan stared at his phone for a long moment before he opened the email. His hands felt strangely cold. The message was short. It said a new match had been found in his family tree, a woman listed only as E. Carter, with a 49.8% shared DNA. Close family relative, the site explained. Most likely a parent or sibling. Ryan sat down slowly on his kitchen chair. Parent, he whispered to himself. Could this be her? He clicked on the profile. There was no photo. Only a small note the woman had written years earlier, when she first joined the site, and seemed to have forgotten about. If anyone from my past is looking for me, I am not ready. Please respect that. Ryan read the sentence 3 times. His chest felt tight. Not ready, he thought. Not ready for what? For me? He closed his laptop and sat in silence for a long time. Rusty came and rested his head on Ryan's knee, but even that didn't help. That same Tuesday morning, in Fairview, Emily was in her kitchen, washing the breakfast dishes. Mark had already left for work. The house was quiet, the way she liked it. Her phone buzzed on the counter. She dried her hands and glanced at the screen. It was an email notification from a website she barely remembered signing up for, years ago, during a lonely week she never talked about. You have a new message. Emily frowned. She almost ignored it. Instead, curiosity got the better of her, and she opened the app. The message was simple. 2 sentences, sent by someone using the name Ryan M. Hello. I think you might be my birth mother. Emily's hand began to shake. The plate she was holding slipped and shattered on the kitchen floor. For a long moment, Emily didn't move. She stood among the broken pieces of the plate, staring at her phone screen, as if the words might disappear if she looked away. I think you might be my birth mother. She read it again. And again. Her heart pounded so loudly she could hear it in her ears. She thought about closing the app. Deleting the message. Pretending this Tuesday morning had never happened. It would be so easy, she told herself. No one would ever know. But another part of her, a part she had buried for 28 years, whispered something different. What if this is him? Slowly, carefully, Emily knelt down and picked up the broken plate, one piece at a time. Her hands were still shaking. She didn't answer the message. Not yet. That evening, Mark came home the way he always did, kissing her on the cheek, asking about her day. Fine, she said. Just a quiet day. She almost told him the truth. The words sat right at the edge of her mouth. But every time she opened her mouth to speak, fear closed it again. They sat down for dinner. Mark noticed her phone lying face down beside her plate, something she never did. You keep looking at that, he said, half joking. Waiting for an important call? Emily's hand moved instinctively to cover the screen. No, she said quickly. Just something from work. Mark raised an eyebrow but said nothing more. Emily could feel her heart racing. She had never lied to him before, not like this, and the ease with which the words left her mouth frightened her almost as much as the secret itself. Later, while Mark was in the shower, her phone buzzed again. Another message from Ryan. She read it standing in the hallway, her whole body tense, listening for the sound of water shutting off. I understand if you need time, it said. I'm not going anywhere. She deleted the notification the moment she finished reading it, her thumb moving fast, automatic, guilty. That night, long after Mark had fallen asleep beside her, Emily lay awake, staring at the ceiling. She thought about the hospital room, 28 years ago. The nurse gently taking the baby from her arms. The sound of her own crying, alone, in that small room. She thought about the promise she had made herself back then. I will never speak of this again. But now, somewhere out there, a young man named Ryan was waiting for an answer. And for the first time in 28 years, Emily wasn't sure she could keep her promise. Quietly, she slipped out of bed, walked into the kitchen, and opened her phone. Her fingers hovered over the screen. Emily typed 3 words, deleted them, and typed them again. Finally, she wrote a short message. Yes. I think I might be. Can we talk? She pressed send before she could stop herself, then sat in the dark kitchen, staring at the screen, waiting. 200 miles away, Ryan's phone buzzed on his nightstand. He sat up immediately when he saw the reply. His hands trembled as he read it. For the next hour, messages moved quietly back and forth between 2 phones, 2 cities, 2 people who had never met but shared the same blood. Ryan explained that he had been raised by loving parents, David and Carol, who had always told him the truth about his adoption. He explained that he wasn't angry. He only wanted to know where he came from. Emily explained, slowly, carefully, that she had been 19, alone, and frightened. That she had thought about him every year on his birthday. That giving him up had been the hardest thing she had ever done. Near the end of their conversation, Ryan sent something else. A photograph. Emily opened it with trembling fingers. It was a picture of Ryan standing beside his dog in a small backyard, smiling at the camera. She stared at the photo for a long time. The shape of his eyes. The way his smile lifted slightly higher on one side. It was like looking at a photograph of her own father, the same expression she had seen in old family pictures. Tears filled her eyes. There was no more doubt now. This was him. The next few days were difficult. Twice, Mark almost saw her phone light up during dinner. Once, he asked directly, "Is everything all right lately? You seem somewhere else." Emily forced a smile and told him she was just tired. The lie was becoming easier to tell, and that frightened her more than the secret itself. "I would like to meet you," Ryan wrote one evening. "If you're ready." Emily's chest tightened. She thought of Mark, sleeping just down the hall. She thought of Lily and Ben, who knew nothing about any of this. She knew she should tell Mark first. She knew that. But she wasn't ready, not yet. Instead, she typed a reply. "There's a small cafe near the Fairview Library. Saturday morning, 10 o'clock. I'll be there." Saturday morning arrived faster than Emily expected. She told Mark she was going to visit her sister for a few hours. It was the first real lie she had told him in 15 years of marriage, and it sat heavy in her chest the entire drive. The cafe near the Fairview Library was small and quiet, with large windows that let in the morning light. Emily arrived 20 minutes early. She chose a table near the back, where she could see the door. Her hands wrapped tightly around a cup of coffee she had no intention of drinking. Every time the bell above the door rang, her heart jumped. At exactly 10 o'clock, the door opened, and a young man stepped inside. Emily knew him immediately. He looked exactly like his photograph, and yet nothing could have prepared her for seeing him in person. Ryan scanned the room nervously until his eyes found hers. For a long moment, neither of them moved. Finally, Emily stood up. "Ryan?" she asked quietly, though she already knew the answer. Ryan nodded. "Mrs. Carter," he said, his voice unsteady. "Emily," she said softly. "Please, just Emily." They sat down across from each other. For a while, neither of them knew what to say. So much time had passed. So many years of silence. "I've thought about this moment for a long time," Ryan finally admitted. "Honestly, I almost didn't come. I kept thinking, what if I'm about to break apart a family that has nothing to do with me?" Emily reached across the table. "You're not breaking anything, Ryan. You're part of this family too, whether either of us knew it or not." Ryan looked down at his hands. "I just don't want to be the reason someone gets hurt," he said quietly. "I've imagined this meeting for years, but I never let myself imagine what it might cost you." Emily's eyes filled with tears. "I thought about you too," she said. "Every single year, on your birthday, I thought about you." Slowly, carefully, they began to talk. Ryan told her about his childhood, about David and Carol, about the auto shop where he worked, about Rusty, his dog. Emily listened to every word as if she were trying to memorize 28 missing years all at once. She told him about Fairview, about her job at the school library, about Lily and Ben. She hesitated before mentioning Mark's name. "Are you married?" Ryan asked gently. Emily nodded slowly. 15 years, she said. "He's a good man, Ryan. But he doesn't know about you." "Not yet." Ryan's expression shifted slightly. He didn't say anything right away. Before Emily could explain further, the bell above the cafe door rang again. She glanced up out of habit. Her entire body went still. Standing in the doorway, holding a small paper bag from the bakery next door, was Mark. For a moment, time seemed to stop. Mark stood frozen in the doorway, the paper bag still in his hand, his eyes moving between Emily and the young man sitting across from her. "Emily," he said slowly, confusion spreading across his face. "I thought you were at your sister's." Emily's mouth opened, but no words came out. Her heart pounded so hard she thought Ryan might hear it too. Mark's eyes shifted to Ryan. "Who is this?" he asked, his voice careful, cautious. Ryan glanced at Emily, unsure whether to speak. Emily took a breath, the kind of breath she had been avoiding for 28 years. "Mark," she said quietly. "Please, sit down. There's something I need to tell you." Mark didn't move at first. Something in Emily's voice, the way it trembled, told him this wasn't a small matter. Slowly, he walked over and sat down beside her, still holding the paper bag, as if he had forgotten it was even in his hand. Emily reached for Ryan's hand for a moment, then let go, gathering her courage. "Before I met you," she began, "when I was 19 years old, I had a baby. I gave him up for adoption. I never told you because I didn't know how. I was afraid of what you would think of me." Mark's face went pale. He looked at Ryan again, really looked at him this time, at the shape of his eyes, the line of his jaw. "This is him," Mark said quietly. It wasn't really a question. For a long moment, Mark said nothing else. He stood up abruptly, walked to the window, and stared out at the parking lot, his back to both of them. His shoulders were tight, his jaw set. 15 years, he finally said, not turning around. 15 years of marriage, Emily. And you never once thought I deserved to know this? It's not that simple, Emily said, her voice breaking. I was ashamed. I was terrified you would look at me differently. Mark turned back to face her, and for the first time Emily saw real hurt in his eyes, not anger exactly, but something deeper. "So instead you decided for both of us," he said quietly. "You decided I couldn't handle the truth." Emily had no answer for that. She simply sat there, tears sliding down her cheeks, waiting for whatever came next. The silence stretched on, long enough that Emily felt certain she had lost him. Mark remained by the window for a long moment, his back straight, his hands pushed into his pockets. When he finally spoke again, his voice was quieter, less sharp than before. "I need a minute," he said. "This isn't something I can just accept in the middle of a coffee shop." Emily nodded, saying nothing, afraid that any word might break whatever fragile thing was happening between them. Mark walked slowly back to the table and sat down, though he didn't look at Ryan right away. He stared instead at his own hands. "I'm not angry that he exists," Mark said finally. "I'm angry that I found out like this. That I almost missed it completely." "I was going to tell you," Emily whispered. "I just didn't know how." Mark was quiet for a while longer. Then, slowly, something in his expression softened. "Emily," he said, "I've loved you through every version of yourself I've ever known. This is a hard one. But it doesn't erase the last 15 years. Emily let out a breath she felt she had been holding for 28 years. Mark finally turned to Ryan, studying him carefully, the way a father studies a stranger who might, somehow, already belong to the family. "I'm sorry," he said to him. "This isn't easy for any of us. But I'm glad you found her." Ryan nodded slowly, his own eyes glistening. "I didn't come here to break anything," he said. "I just wanted to know where I came from. If it helps, I never wanted to take anything away from you." Mark studied him a moment longer, then reached out and, somewhat awkwardly, offered his hand across the table. "Mark," he said simply. "Ryan," the young man replied, shaking it. It wasn't the disaster Emily had imagined for 28 years. It wasn't easy either, and she could see it would take time. But it was honest, finally, after so long. They sat together at that small table for nearly 2 hours, 3 people bound by blood and choice, slowly, carefully, becoming something new. In the weeks that followed, life in Fairview slowly found a new shape. Mark needed time to process everything, and Emily gave him that space, without pushing, without hiding anything else. There were quiet, difficult conversations in the weeks that followed, evenings when Mark needed to simply sit with his thoughts. But for the first time in 15 years, there were no more secrets between them. Lily and Ben were told the truth soon after. Both were surprised, but neither turned away. "You're still our mom," Lily said simply, hugging her tightly. "This just means our family got a little bigger." Ryan visited Fairview again, this time openly. Mark was there when he arrived, standing beside Emily instead of a secret she carried alone. It was awkward at first, the kind of awkwardness that comes from 28 missing years. But awkward, Emily realized, was so much better than silence. Slowly, a new routine began. Ryan came for dinner once a month, sometimes bringing Rusty along. David and Carol, Ryan's adoptive parents, were invited too, once everyone was ready. There was no jealousy between the two families, only relief that Ryan finally had his answer, and gratitude that Emily had said yes when it mattered most. One evening, almost a year later, Emily stood in her kitchen, watching through the window as Mark and Ryan sat together on the back porch, laughing about something from the auto shop. Lily and Ben were setting the table for dinner, and Rusty was chasing Ben's shoelaces across the yard. Emily smiled, tears gathering quietly in her eyes, though this time they were not tears of fear. She had spent 28 years believing that her secret, if discovered, would destroy everything she loved. Instead, telling the truth had done the opposite. It had made her family whole in a way she never expected. She understood something now that she wished she had known as a frightened 19-year-old girl. A secret carried alone only grows heavier with time. But the truth, even when it is frightening, has the power to bring people closer, not tear them apart. That was the greatest lesson Emily ever learned. And it took her 28 years, and one brave decision, to finally understand it. Thank you for watching till the end. And don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a new English story.